Say everybody should get out.
Don't bet your life on riding out a monster.
An increasing threat of Hurricane Florence on a crash course towards the Carolinas.
The evacuation order started yesterday at noon, but you got to be gone by 8 o'clock tonight.
Farzad Fazeli has been arrested for allegedly attacking a Republican candidate running for California's 15th congressional district. Tried to stab him with a switchblade while yelling disparaging remarks about the GOP.
Brand new text once again between FBI lovebird Strzok and Page. Months before the election, it appears Strzok and Page were contributing to an op-ed about Russian election interference.
And now we're seeing in these text messages that they were shifting the narrative. We need to re-question all of these players.
This is a Fox News alert. The clock is ticking as millions of people are told to pack up and head to higher ground as Hurricane Florence heads for the Carolinas.
Wow, look at that aerial footage. Mandatory evacuation orders now in place as that massive storm. It's a monster as it's surging. All of the water surge is expected to slam the East Coast, and President Trump sounding off on the potential catastrophic damage to come.
They haven't seen anything like what's coming at us in 25, 30 years, maybe ever. It's tremendously big.
We have live Fox team coverage this morning. Todd Pyro in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where some are ignoring the dire warnings to simply get out. But we begin with our own Griff Jenkins in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, where folks there are facing a quadruple threat this morning. Good morning, Griff.
That's right. Good morning. We have all the components, guys, here for a catastrophic, life-threatening weather event that could last for days. Let me show you why. We had the hurricane winds, 140 miles an hour or thereabouts, expected to come across here, and certainly the outer northern bands. You can hear a little bit of a rumbling behind me, I think. That's not quite the storm yet, but you're going to get the storm surge here as well. They're saying 9 to 13 feet. That is unbelievable, as well as expected flooding because of the low-lying inlands. We have 4 rivers here, the Pamlico, Neuse, Newport, and Tar rivers, that was absolutely flooded, devastatingly so, in 2 years ago with Hurricane Matthew. And then you've got the rainfall. If this does indeed stall and put 25 plus inches, it's going to be very dangerous. You know, 2 years ago, there are areas that still have not recovered in Kinston, where the Neuse River is. There's places that were under 25 feet of water. And for the folks that try to stay behind and ride it out here, they need to know one thing, and that is they are likely to be stranded. It is likely to be life-threatening, and that no one is coming to get them. That's why they have the evacuations here. Mandatory. People have got to be out by 8 o'clock tonight in Atlantic Beach and the surrounding Carteret County. The mayor pro tem here in Atlantic Beach, Richard Porter, had this to say.
We're asking people to leave. And those that choose to stay, they have to understand that they may not have emergency services available to them to come and rescue them. That's the whole purpose of this mandatory evacuation. Get out of town. It's dangerous. It's a huge storm.
The message is serious. It's time to get out, and time to get out now. If you're in Carteret County and the surrounding areas, even though you may see the track going a little south, the northern part of this, the dirty side of this storm, is going to make it quite a life-threatening situation, guys.
That's right, Griff. Thank you very much, because the biggest storm surge is just to the north of where the eye goes ashore.
Thank you, Griff. That's in North Carolina. Now let's go to South Carolina, where highway crews are working around the clock to clear people, get them out off the coastline.
Officials already warning the shelters are not strong enough to withstand this hurricane's wrath.
But many people are refusing to leave, and Todd Pyro picks up our team coverage live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Steve, Ainsley, and Ed, good morning to all of you. This place is somewhat of a ghost town. There's a little bit of activity here along 17 right now. But again, you go for huge stretches, minutes, where you don't see a single car. You can hear your voice echoing on a road that is typically filled with people, filled with tourists, filled with individuals hoping to enjoy a golf vacation. That's not happening this week. You can see, like many businesses, this business boarded up, ready for whatever Florence will bring. At least that's what the business owners are hoping. But that said, despite the warnings about the storm of a lifetime, people we spoke with said they're not going anywhere.
I am going to stay with my dad's house and see what happens. This is home. This is where I feel comfortable, and right now I don't see any reason to leave.
We're staying here. We stayed during Matthew and had a ball right here. I think it's going to wipe out up north further than down here. But we'll stay right here until it washes the building away. We're not scared to lick.
Those that heeded the advice to leave hit the roads yesterday, leading to major backups along the South Carolina coast. At around noon, the state reversed the direction of many of the roads, allowing all traffic to move out of the area. An area from Myrtle Beach past Charleston is in the crosshairs. And take a look at this. The sheer size of Florence is the reason why. Besides the hurricane-force winds, a life-threatening storm surge of up to 9 feet along the South Carolina coast is a huge concern. And Ed, you alluded to this before. People in Charleston County that want to go to shelters are also facing another major issue. The shelters there are rated for a Category 3. That said, we're expecting something along the lines of a 4, could be a 5. Those individuals that are hoping to go to a shelter in Charleston County could be moved to shelters in neighboring counties. Back to you.
All right, Todd Pyro, Griff Jenkins, thank you for those reports. There was somebody on Fox earlier, local official in South Carolina, saying if you don't heed the warning to get out, you literally have to write your name on your limbs, because they're going to need to identify you.
That
So
is
you've got to listen.
very scary. I don't understand why people would stay. That's just not most of our personalities. But I do, you know, my sister lives in Charleston. She evacuated to Columbia and is actually coming to New York for the weekend. And she said a lot of her friends have decided to stay. She only knows about 2 or 3 that are actually leaving. Now, Charleston is a lot farther south than Myrtle Beach is. So Myrtle Beach is going to get hit, it looks like, a lot harder than Charleston will.
But we still don't know exactly. It's uncertainty. It's uncertain where it's going to go.
That's right.
And I have, you know, I know people who do try to ride the storm out, and then they kind of get caught. You know, we thought it was we were just going to get a little bit. Next thing you know, it's Category 3. It's a Category 4. And here's the thing. When you get in trouble, and when he was talking about how the shelters are not rated for the really strong storm, and this is a really strong storm, when you get in big trouble, you call the police to come help you, right? They're not going to come help you because in a lot of places, once it's above tropical storm force winds, the police can't go out over the bridges and things like that because they would be putting their own lives in peril. So you can call the cops and say, hey, I need help. And they'll say, as soon as the storm is over, we're going to come out and get you.
That's right. Yep.
All right, we've got the governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, coming up live right here, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time.
You know, and what he said yesterday was pretty scary. He said, even if you've ridden out storms before, this one is different.
Well, I mean, you see the images of Harvey and what it did to the folks in Texas and how people were stranded in their houses with no electricity, water up to the 2nd, 3rd floor, people on their roofs, not able to get out. When you see those images, even though it probably is not going to happen in your area, there is always a chance. And why risk it?
Right, and because of the potential for these super storms, storm winds to come ashore, they're suggesting that some parts of the disaster area, and you know, if it hits hard, it will be a disaster, could be without electricity for weeks.
Well,
and there are 16 nuclear power plants in the zone. They've already started to shutter down the Brunswick plant, and when they slow that down, where does the electricity
I had friends that were in Florida last year, and I guess it was Harvey. What hit Puerto Rico? Was that Harvey?
Irma? Or
that large storm? They were without electricity for a week. They had booked plane tickets to get out about 2 days before the storm hit them, and they weren't able to get out. They canceled those flights, and they weren't able to leave. So they were stuck in their house, no electricity for more than a week.
So if your local authorities tell you to get out of the way of that storm, as you look at the eye right there, do it. Please do it. All right. Meanwhile, Janice is going to have the forecast.